Let's see. Hey, how's it going? So, trying to replicate this shared data structure example. Yeah. The steak was good though. It was really good. I tweeted a photo of it too. Um, so yeah, what I've done here is ended up with this sort of main boilerplate that takes CLI input and then just runs it through process. The checksum actor that takes a string here and counts the number of times each letter appears, which we have here. Yeah, so this is just outputting a debug, which is fine. We don't need that. Um, but it outputs this over here. And then right now, okay, what is the CLI standard library thing? Because I looked for a couple of things. I saw an options library. I saw some streaming input uh, things that didn't seem like they had a lot of documentation attached to them. I saw, um, I think at least one other way to do it. Which CLI standard lib like use CLI? CLI index. So this thing. Yeah, I originally hit on where's options? Options here. Um, that was the first thing I ever saw, so that's what I used for the very first challenge, and then I rewrote it into this because it seemed overkill. Yeah, like all of these examples are basically like paste in a list, right? So all I've been doing is this, copy paste, and then run it on the end of the command. So I'm not too worried about all of that. If I start writing nvargs 2, yeah, so these are all different args though, right? So I'd have to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as well, right? If I was running it like this. Or is nvargs 2 special? I guess I could loop over them all, right? But like I'm already looping over them all. Yeah, so that's I mean that's basically what I'm doing. I'm grabbing all of the args. I'm doing a clone. I'm shifting off the program name and then uh, yeah, okay, I got you for sure. Um, I prefer not to keep accessing the environment over and over in my loops. So I just read everything in and then do it. Yeah, so the input that they give me is actually like file sort of based. Like it has a shit ton of new lines and stuff. Um, but I was seeing a lot of different ways to just read from the CLI, so what is the Where's like FS? Um, I guess package files. I'm a little bit better at navigating the documentation today than I was when I first started writing. Uh, but like, I don't know, I'm looking for something that can read a file, and there we go. And then I get like primitive file read. Um, and like it's not clear how to read a file from this, right? So I got the primitive, I've got a constructor for the primitive. So that's the thing. There is, unless you're talking about this package thing right here, I've found that not a lot of the. Okay, so CLI has it. String had some. Um, yeah, so I'm finding like a lot of the things that I try to look for, I'll land on something, and then I won't see like example code, so I'll have to read the types and try to figure out how to piece it together. That's what I had to do for hash maps earlier. Um, where's collections? But if you're telling me that if I like click on package, okay, yeah, so click on package and then I went to hash map, wherever that is. And there's no example here, right? Yeah, okay, so I didn't want to go to, I was aware actually of that repo. I haven't been to it, and I sort of like intentionally didn't go to it, so I would have to like read the documentation and figure everything out. Because this literally is my first pony code sort of ever. Um, but thank you for the link for sure. Yeah, okay, cool. So we won't do CLI right now because I've already written that code. And then the thing that I'm dealing with right now is I have these strings. I have this actor that processes the strings, which is great, and then that all happens like queued up, which is fantastic, and that was super easy. Um, and then I have to get all of that back into like a single map or something. So what I was looking at was this example from the patterns, which basically like I guess creates not this one like a database actor, I guess, um, and then writes and reads to it. But it's more. I don't know if I need transactions, right? Um, because I don't need. I just need to know when all of these things are done and then check the map. And I feel like there's a way to use the capability system to associate the output of each actor. Yeah, but like that's the only example for like um, a data structure that I have a bunch of different actors adding to that I found. Uh, so let's see. The next thing that I need to do, I figured out really quickly that behaviors don't return anything, which makes sense. Um, but I can call more behaviors on them. And then the thing that was also interesting was the mathematician has a shared registers in it, and I don't know how that shared registers becomes a single instance of the shared registers actor. Right, I don't know why this is shared. I guess it's passed in through create, so you create it and then you. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm gonna do basically that, and then see if I run into any issues with checksum raw input, and then I'll do After storing everything, then you could have a message that you send it when you're done passing it values that then calls the callback behavior on some other actor. Yeah. So if I have this, so I'm thinking either way, either place I write this code is either going to be in the main actor or in its own actor. I think its own actor would be the more pony-like way to do it, it seems. But I do need to pass in, like, whatever I call this, right? DB or whatever. Reg is shared registers. So where are we? We'll have. Yeah, that's what I was getting. My yeah, it's for hacking, but also like I'm trying to learn Pony more than I am trying to like solve all of the Advent of Code stuff. So let's see. If I have DB, I could put DB here. If I put DB here, then I should be able to send a message or call a behavior on that actor or something like that, right? And that actor would then be able to output the result. So I think I'm going to do that. The binding is going to be, I think that should be fine, right? And then down here we pass DB into checksum. Checksum has to change to DB so that we have a DB. And then this actor has a create that doesn't really take anything. So I don't actually know if I need a create or not. I guess I'm going to initialize my data structure, so will create one. So here I'm going to have a where it's a map of string okay, so if I have them all as like actor properties, or I don't know what the right word is for that, then I don't need the create, is what you're saying. So you like that kind of thing. And this is going to resize a bunch, so I'll just like, I know I'm going to have to do that. So word results, map string to, so I get two values back. I get one value to tell whether it's has a 2 duplicate and one to tell whether it's a 3 duplicate. So I'll do string to bool, and my keys will be, where is this? And I'll just concat some strings to do it like this, I guess. I'm not super happy about that, but this way it can sort of like insert whenever it's done, I guess. That's inserting two keys though, so I could also do, I guess, I don't know, does Pony have like nested like I can do I8 here for 2 and 3, and then whether it counts or not. could write primitive like has. Okay, so that should work, and then I guess I need a behavior that is right, that takes a key and a map I8 bool. I feel like I want a type alias for this. I've never used a type alias before. The syntax. So then we have, my code is a little bit easier to understand. So behavior right, this, as I understand it, will have to call a fun ref right, which will like, so this is one thing that I saw that was a little bit confusing in that example before. Where is the shared data structure? So this shared registers has, where was the apply thing? I guess technically they can just write, right? So I don't need that. Oh, that's why, because they were doing transactions, so I probably don't need this, because B write will be fine. And then let's set word results key. Behaviors have ref access to the actor. Okay, so I don't need to write an extra fun ref to do that unless I want to like split out some logic or something. Cool. Word results key. All right. Right. So we're going to do like a single commit at the end where it says, hey, this key has this many, like it counts for a 2-dupe and it counts for a 3-dupe or something like that, right? And that should be everything that we need, I think. The keys are no longer that. The keys are that, so it's not really interesting. I don't know if that compiles. Cannot reuse name DB. Okay, where's DB being reused? A new create of checksum. Okay, that's interesting. What is it conflicting with exactly? I guess, oh, because this takes a DB? Yeah, okay. I'll do this. Boom. Boom. There's definition of key is not a type. Did I not write key? Definition of key is not a type. Okay. How do I arbitrary access a key and set it? Okay, come on. It would be nice if I, oh, there we go. Click. Upsert, insert. So we'll do. These should never. I think the list is unique, but even if it isn't, it won't matter because they'll have the same result. Oh, it's parens. Okay. That's interesting because like, yeah. So this is another example of like where there's no code example. So, um, like I expected it to be something like that, but I'm used to using brackets, so I tried brackets and it didn't work, and then I went and found the insert function, not the update. Okay, so it's just syntactic sugar. Is there a good way to like look up what the syntactic sugar is, or is that just sort of like read enough documentation and code and you'll figure it out? Also, where is update? Update is sets value, returns the old value, otherwise none. If there was no previous value, may trigger a resize. Yeah. So I'm expecting a bunch of resizes because I can't guess. Well, I can guess because I'll just look at the input and know and rewrite it. But like, if this was a generic app, I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, cool. There's some sugar documentation. Okay, I'll look for that at some point too. Make a note so that I look that up later. Um, cool, 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 cool. The counts are here. I can just do this here then. So for counts dot pairs, I think is what I need for count for pair in count dot pairs do. Oh, sweet! It's even called sugar. That's awesome. Uh, expressions sugar in the tutorial. Okay, yeah. Whatever action is most common for that type. That is a fun way of wording that. Nice. Thanks for the link. I'll read more into the tutorial a little bit later. Uh, or if I run into something that I feel like should have sugar, I'll look at it again. Um, cool. So here for each in and actually, um, I'll still use this get repeated and see if any of the values are 2. Um, yeah, the other thing is like Pony isn't a functional language, and my brain works functionally more than it works like in for loops and stuff. So every time I have to write a for loop, I sort of like there's like a gear break, and I'm like, what? I can't map over this? Oh shit. Um, let's see for pair in counts do counts dot pairs do, but I am starting to like figure out a couple of the functions that I'm used to already having in my repertoire, like itertools. Yeah, I saw itertools. Um, is that like similar to the Python itertools package? I guess it didn't seem like the community at large programmed in a functional way in Pony, so I like wasn't trying to force it. Like when I learned Go, like forcing functional into Go turns out to be a really bad idea. So I just like didn't do that. Nice. Yeah, so that's dope. Map filter, map run. Cool. I'll dive into that more later too. Class editor, I guess, is where I want. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, this is nice. There's examples every. That's dope. Thank you for writing that documentation. I'm assuming since you wrote the package, you wrote the documentation. But cool. So where are we? Get repeated. So this function is there a documentation format for this, by the way, that I should be using? I assume there's source here. Um, like is triple quotes the preferred way of writing documentation, and there's some tool like PonyDoc or something that'll pull all of that out? Yeah, for sure. Open source, totally right. um, Paradox. Yeah, because triple quotes means that it doesn't escape, right? The compiler pulls it out for you. Okay, I'll have to look into that again later then. Um, oh, there's a flag on the default. Oh, it's built into the Pony C? That's awesome. That's dope. Okay. There's docs. I saw it over here. That's for phases. Oh, what are the phases? So parse syntax sugar. That's cool. Scope, import name, flatten, traits, docs, expressions, verify, final, serialize, reach. Paint is something that I've heard mentioned in a couple of the talks, but nobody ever really went into it. Um, oh, you can output the AST? That's dope. I'm gonna have to do that for sure. I like screwing with ASTs, so I hope there's some tools for doing that. Bin name static docs. Yeah, there you go. Docs. Ooh, docs public. That's cool. Um, I don't know how to declare a private a private type, so that doesn't really help me. But it's dope that there's a separation between the public docs and like or public types and everything. Oh, so it's dead code elimination. Nice. Okay. Uh, so this is no longer a behavior because I'm calling it here. Um, it's just the underscore. Oh, so it's a convention and it's enforced. I thought it was just sort of like a convention that I saw everybody using. Um, that's cool. Nice. Not like Python where anything goes. Well, I don't write really any Python anymore, so Um, we're on a pony, but this isn't the Wild West. Damn. Four pair in pairs. See, can I do like let has n occurrences? I don't know how to spell that. Whatever. Start with false. I assume that'll infer bool, and then that looks like has no. Also, that's why. Yeah, okay. It's all underscores. For pair and pairs, do. Let's see. Match. What's the match syntax? I've already forgotten. Match X pipes. So match, pair, and then pipe. How was I doing tuples last time? Car. Let's just do this. First and I assume I can stick n in there at some point. I don't know why I wrote it as a match instead of an if statement. So get repeated, and then up here in process, after we process all of these values, and we've upserted everything, then we want to do I'm so used to writing in camel case languages. Has 2 reps equals get repeated 2, let has 3 reps equals get repeated 3. I don't know where I'm going to put this. I'm just putting it somewhere where it will run, and then we'll figure out if that is. Oh, I'm happy to hear the tips. To be fair, I may ignore the tips if they're like, hey, here's an entire program in a library that you could just import and use. And I may write it myself, but I'm happy to hear tips for sure, especially from people who know how to write the language. There's probably a find, isn't there? I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Where are my built-ins? Blah, 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 iter, built-ins, actually collections is what I want. Collections map. Don't want contains k, I want contains b, and return k. 66. Yeah, of course, because the binding will change. Yes, of course. Thank you. Oh, yes. I was trying to figure out how to destructure, and it was not having it. The syntax I tried did not work. But I'm also trying to match on this, so I guess I still need the match. And that needs to be... Why am I having so much trouble trying to remember how to spell occurrences? Um, cool. So match, occurrences, and then that cleans that up a lot. Right. I guess technically I don't care about car because I don't need it later. Cool. Keys values clear. Next index bag contains. I wanted contains for values, not for keys. Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome because I was definitely trying to destructure this. I think like a couple days ago, and was trying to use like brackets or something, and it wasn't working, and I was just like, ah, well, they must not have destructuring. Um, let's see, what do we have here? This doesn't compile because reps. Um, okay, I'm all over the place now. What am I doing? Has 2 reps, has 3 reps. This needs to return bool. This parameter must be sendable. Okay, so are maps not sendable? Or are only primitive types sendable? That's comforting. uh. Oh shit. Okay. So if I remember correctly, it has to be sendable because not passing. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm not passing the ISO. Um, if I find a way to, I guess maybe no, not recover, but um, consume the ISO. Okay, so write. It's actually complaining about write, right? Yeah. Um, so it can't receive write. Because I need to consume it before ISO valor tag. So what's the ISO valor tag? But I can turn a ref into an ISO by recovering it, which I don't know how it works yet. Remind me why I'm passing the map. I'm passing the map because in my checksum actor, I'm going to end up with. Well, I can't end up with whatever I want. I started out with simple values, um, and the persistent maps are persistent so they can share references, maybe. Um, but yeah, that's good to know that they're persistent. Right now, I'm just trying to accomplish the task, and not in any sort of like particularly optimized way. I'm just trying to find my way around the language and such, right? I'm passing the map because this checksum actor, effectively, for all the computation it does, has two returns. It returns whether it has like a repetition of AA and a repetition of BBB. Um, so it has two like values that I need to get out of it somehow, and I'm going to write those into the database together at the same time because they have a val ref cap. Okay. Yeah, and then ISO turns into a tag if you pass it into a behavior or something like that, which I didn't have to get too far into. Uh, but yeah. Val means read only. Okay. Okay, so a read only value I could read and then clone or something like that. Um, which is fine. I feel like I'm ending up with a lot of clones where I don't need to end up with a lot of clones, but at some point I'm going to go back and like try to figure out how to either use persistent data structures for this or something like that where I don't have to actually keep cloning to get around it. Uh, but does that mean so the value isn't sendable and it's in a behavior as an argument? Um, so it's just blocking me before I even call this. Yeah, in my first program ever, I was like, clone, I'll clone again. I'll clone a third time. Uh, I just started to feel like really like not what the language wanted me to do. But uh, yeah, so this is blocking me from doing this before I even attempt to use it. So the type system is taking the map and saying, hey, this map type uh, is not something you can do. So can I say like you have to pass in a map type with val? Well, that isn't highlighting, so that seems to have worked. Constructor with undefined fields, new create. Field left undefined in constructor 48. Okay, that's good. db equals db and create. Yeah, okay. Function body isn't the result type. Okay, that's good. Occurrences, pairs, um, that's this. Result type needs to be bool. Um, I don't think I need to return if it's the last thing, right? Cool, so I can stick n here. And then has n reps equals true. So that's probably working. Let's try. let's try debugging the input plus the right. I don't know if I need to toString these Boolean values or not, or if it just like has a stringable or whatever. Okay, so this has 2, this has a 3, this has a 2, this has a 2. I actually don't know if these need to be right next to each other because I didn't even check. Okay, nope, they don't have to be next to each other. So this looks fine. I briefly looked into Ponytest earlier. Now that I know a little bit more about okay, yeah. It seems like I need to call string on anything, but not everything has a string function. Like maps, I think, didn't have a string function. So I've been like iterating over arrays and things to print them out. Yeah. Cool. Oh, I don't know what that file is. I should look into that. Dynamic symlink, maybe dynamic. I don't know, maybe. So these look fine. Ponytest is something that I wanted to look into. So now that that actor is sort of doing what I want it to do. Actually, it's not doing entirely what I want it to yet. db.write input, and then I don't know if I can just like literal create a map here or not. Is there like a from? No, there isn't a from. So yeah, I'll just do let reps equal map string. Nope, not string, I8. That's not equals, that's colon equals reps dot create 2. I think 2 is the right thing here. Reps dot insert, or actually repos, reps. What are the things I'm doing here? Reps 2 equals has 2 reps, reps 3 equals has 3 reps, reps. And hopefully that compiles. There's no map literal. Okay, that's good to know. Also, since it wasn't in the built-ins, I sort of assumed that there was no map literal. Are like the more complicated data structures that are not basically like primitives all implemented in what could be userland? Because that's what it seems like. Argument not a subtype parameter. Yep. So we're not going to have the val here because the current one that I have is ref. I wonder if this gives me a val without checking. Nope. Argument is I val bool val val ref, and ref is on the whole hash map. And I need it to be val. These are all vals. Update, upsert. Remove, contains, all of these are things that are valley. Clone. Optional HTTP. Okay, but it still returns me a ref even if I clone it. So I need to, do I need to use consume here to consume that ref? Yeah, that's really cool that everything outside of built-in is in userland. I was reading some of the source code as I went through this, and it just looked really nice to sort of like read and figure out how I might build more complicated things on top. So clone doesn't give me what I want. Can I recover a ref into a val? Right, because maps aren't sendable, so I can't use them in recovers anyway. Interesting. So you're saying this would need to be this. Okay. Create an ISO map, then copy everything from your existing map into the new map, then consume the new map when you pass it to the actor and write. Yeah, so I haven't used consume yet. Yeah, so I'm already creating the new map here, right? And when I pass it to the right, I need to consume it somehow, and I don't quite know how to do that. I don't know if it, like consume needs to go here. And yeah, there we go. Right, like I know it can only refer to a single key. Arguing on a subtype of parameter. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because val is read only, right? So if I make this ISO like you said instead, then I have write access and I'm the only holder of this thing, and then I can consume the ISO to pass it through. Ref is not a sub-capability of ISO. Where are you using it? So create an ISO map. But yeah, so the result of this complication is part of why I initially stuttered when I was like, should I do this as a nested map or should I do this as a bunch of keys that have primitive values? Um, but it's good that I'm sort of like combating sendable and things like that now, I guess. But the map create, so the map creation needs to be inside of that. So I can do this, maybe is what you're referring to. That would be interesting. Can't define a let local without assigning to it, of course, because it's a binding. And then can't use undefined in a variable expression, or undefined variable in an expression. So something more like that. Close. You need to put the map creation side. Yeah, so does recover have a return? So can I do this to get sort of like the reps on the outside equal to the, yeah, okay, there is something. Yeah, reps ISO reps equals. Okay, so yeah, that's what I just ended up with, except it's on 2 lines instead of 1. Yeah, okay. So there's some sort of automatic like lifting of sub capabilities into other capabilities, um, is what I'm understanding from this recover usage. Uh, I assume that there's, yeah, so this thing, this automatic receiver recovery, um, is I think what we just dealt with. The arguments to the method at the call site are sendable, and the return type of the method is either sendable or isn't used at the call site. Then we can automatically recover. And the automatic recovery is sort of like why I didn't have to write manual steps to turn in ISO into something else, I guess. And just could tell it like, hey, recover and please work. Okay. So cool. So that should be it. And then where are we here? Right. I was talking about pony test. Um, so now I guess there's process and then there's right. I feel like I want this to be two different things, like one thing that builds up the actual map, or one function that builds up the actual map and another function that deals with the actual write. This way I can sort of like test them. If you specify a reference capability on the variable, then recover will give you back an object with the appropriate ref graph. Okay, so you can manually specify what you want to recover into, sort of. Um, yeah, okay, that's cool. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so DB now has everything. Um, so because actors are sequential, if I have done all of this processing in this loop, then my understanding is that if I db dot print output, and this is a behavior on db, word results, then the thing that I need to do here is the I guess I don't need the key. Um, there's no reps that I'm using anywhere else, right? Yeah, okay, cool. For in word results dot pairs, I guess I don't need to do dot pairs because I don't care about the keys. So I get rid of this and it looks a little nicer. Is there any sort of, since there's no map literal, I'm assuming that I don't have some sort of destructuring thing I can do here. So that's for in each individual. So let 2 reps. Three reps. So I'm initializing 2 variables here. I need those to be vars, of course, not lets. Problem, I've been writing a lot of JavaScript, and let is the opposite thing in JavaScript. So, for values, I'll go over each replication. For each replication, I will add 1 to the relevant thing. So for rep counts, which I guess will be a pair. So for count ID and then in what is this, reps dot pairs, do, I need the do here, right? Yeah, do if has count. I don't know if there's if statements actually. I need to look at the control structures. If has count, then, well, has count, so there's no shortcuts like I'm used to. So if has count equals true, then we want to do, and we don't need the brackets because that doesn't exist either. Actually, I'll just do okay, so there is a shortcut for strict bools. So that ends the match, and that should give me all of the counts, and then where are we? How many? I'm starting to get this like flying V formation here. That does all the iteration. We'll debug dot out. Num2 repos dot string. Num3 repos dot string. Num2 repos times num3 repos. I don't know if this can do inline. Dot string. I don't know if that's a valid expression or not. That would be hypothetically the result. Yeah, because if statements are, oh, they're not statements, they're expressions. That's why. Got you. Yeah. Oh, need to type. I don't know. Let's do I-64, because why wouldn't we want to take up a bunch of space? Well, that is not good. So let's take some so it doesn't get anywhere. So I screwed something up. Yeah, for sure. Let's see if writing is happening. I know print output is happening, so let's just leave it at that. That's the issue. So where are we up here? We aren't in main. And then we print output. Okay, so this is interesting. How do I wait for all of this? I think I know how I wait for all of this. Input size, and where is print output? I don't know how to wait on that value though. Let's see. Let's try this. Let's try wait for, I don't know, there's like, how many are there going to be? Wait for is 964. And then maybe while word results. Don't know that this is the right logic. And I don't know that while is actually what I want. While Tony Lang control structures. So basically, I'm doing a very silly sort of way of like, wait until like you have everything and then tell me what it is. So let's do expected body. I mean, yeah, sure, you expect a body, but I'm not actually trying to do anything. I'm just trying to block, like not block, but like wait. Um, what I really want is like until, right? And realistically, I'd be sleeping this for a little bit. I'd guess. I don't know. Um, so I have to put something in the wild block. I don't know what I'm gonna put there. Um, I guess we could just count the iterations or something. Why not? Um, let's do the same thing that they're doing in this example exactly. Uh, equals. I guess we'll do the exact same thing, right? And then we'll do it with debug because we don't actually want it to happen all the time. And then we'll. Do I have count below? No, I don't use count below. Okay, so that gives us a body. Hopefully that will. Nope, because I let again, like I always do. Okay. Can't reference a method without. Oh, right. Where's size? What is usize? Where is this? What is usize? What is that dot size on? Is this map pairs? No, it's just on the map itself. Type alias for size. Size is a usize val. So I guess we'll just say that this is a usize val. I don't know what that means for whether we can compare it or not. Oh, wow. Yeah, there we go. So that's a lot of iterations, and I'm assuming not doing what I want it to. Nice to know it's getting a lot done there. How do I kill this? Um, can we do this to see if we're even getting any of them? My guess is like, my guess is I did something horribly wrong, but word results dot size string. Then at least we get something here. Oop. Yeah, so we're getting nothing. let's kill that. Let's say if count how do I do this? Let's see. So much work getting done. Yeah, all 36 or 365,000 iterations of this while loop. Um, that's not really what I want. There has to be a more pony way to do this. Um, reading, writing messages, and common encodings. Collections persistent. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Format glob, itertools. Wonder if itertools has promises has a promising feel to it. So I could do like 50 bajillion promises and wait until they all resolve, which feels better than doing this while loop for sure. Promise on X string recover. Okay, so I'm gonna scrap this silly like debug thing that I'm doing here with the counts and everything, and I'm gonna try to use promises. Oop, I killed. Did I kill too much? No, I think I'm fine there. So how do I do this? Promise is a promise string, promise.next. So there's 3 handlers on that promise. So I think I need to do this in main. I don't know how to wait. Okay, let's see. Lang, wait for actors to finish. There we go. Yeah, but I don't want to actually wait. Because that's the same approach as the while loop, right? Act to promise. That looks promising. I'll say that at least 3 more times before I get this solution. Pony gives us actors, can define fields with those actors to main state and rely on the single threaded nature of blah, 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 blah. Without having to create a giant state machine. Yes, that sounds great. Yep. So we basically have this data structure that's getting whatever it's being behaviored, updated. Try to write a method that returns the internal state. It compiles, but it doesn't work because it's 0 because it executes before everything that is queued executes. Okay, so the access pattern is sending a lambda. Yeah, promises. I've gotten to the point where I've run all of the actors, and as a result, uh, I get. Oh no, we don't want to. Did I not save this file? That was my while loop that I was going down. Yeah, so um, it executes immediately, and then everything that's queued executes. So promises. Uh, yeah, of course. Promise lets us declare that we realize that some value will either be fulfilled or rejected sometime in the future. Yep. Oh, a promise is an actor. Interesting. We can send promises around. Yes. Um, okay, so the balance method on the aggregate can take a promise, and then we can send a promise by just creating a promise. Cool. And we have the next function on the promise. So if we pass a promise to DB and say, give me the balance at some point, so when we create this DB, I want to create it with the number that we want to check. So where is our DB initialization? So it's this. But really what I want it to be is, where's the constructor? Really what I want it to be is DB in the constructor equals DB input size, so that I know what I'm waiting for later, right? And this goes away, and DB has a create method. And then we take, from create, we take, right, we got wait for, which is a, what was it, U size? New create, wait for, and then so we set the wait for, behavior creates, where's wait for here. We don't need to pass that in anymore. Where are we on passing that into process? So this doesn't need to happen anymore. Cool. And then so that should all compile, right? No, it does not. Usage is a problem? Why is usage a problem? know what the limit is on these things. So what did I do here? Receiver type. How did I screw this up? Receiver type is not a subtype of target type usage. What did I do to usage? Did I mess with it earlier? Funref usage. And out. I don't see anything that I did to usage. Maybe if I do this. Okay, I screwed something up there for sure. Can't find usage because I deleted it. I feel like there's some other issue here. So I'm trying to delete the things that are getting in the way. Man, that's really weird. I have no idea what happens there. Huh. Is that because I'm calling usage before I define DB? Well, in any case, I'll figure that out later. Wait for debug dot out wait for dot string. Cool, so we wait for 7 iterations. So for promises, let's see. What we really want to do is query multiple actors to get the account summary data and send all of that data, preferably bundled up as an isolated destination actor that can again display or process the information. Okay. Yes, this is what we want. So we want basically a promise that will resolve when all of the other promises have resolved. Now we can create multiple promises to send bank accounts. So if we have a set of accounts that we are ranging over, oh, we use iter in this example. So we're creating a set of promises that return an account summary, or one promise that returns an account summary that is iterating over all of the other summaries, and then receiving. I don't know what receive collection is, but so this is the first thing we need to do. For in our loop, we say we're doing the thing. Where's the thing? The thing for us is process. So we're gonna have process return a promise. I don't think it's actually going to return a promise, is it? Summarize takes a promise. Summary summary Okay, so let's just look at the entire example. Blah blah blah. Oh, do I need to use promises? That's important. So we have transaction event and account aggregate. So we have our aggregate. Our aggregate is DB. Let's move this so that it shows more. Yeah, so our aggregate is our DB actor. They're using account aggregate. Our main function, or our main actor is up there, and then our checksum actor doing the operations is down here. So I think that maps quite cleanly to the account aggregate. These are two classes, which is interesting. So there's the main, which we have a main. There's the aggregate, we have an aggregate, and instead of classes, we have another actor. So in main, it loops over the accounts. When it loops over the accounts, it takes a promise, consumes the lambda. So that's a lambda. So bracket, and then type signature, and then arrow, fat arrow is a lambda function. That's interesting because I was looking at that in the one of the other ones. I forget which one it was, but it was passing in a lambda, and I didn't understand what the syntax was actually doing. So it's nice to know that that's actually a lambda. So this is account aggregate account 6000. It takes an account, it returns a promise with the account summary. Okay. So in our case, we'll take the string that we're trying to process and return the the repeated summary, I guess is what we'll call it. And then we just create a promise. On the aggregate, we summarize when we pass the promise. So we pass each individual promise to our core aggregate. And the core aggregate, when we hit summarize is a promise where we take the account summary, and then all of these summaries. So there's a behavior receive collection that fires as the next, I'm assuming, for the aggregate. Yeah, this receive collection. So receive collection is here. Okay. So in any case, we need a handler for our aggregate. So let's start writing that. I think that's our print output. So our print output will take an array of replications maybe? Account summary is a class over here, right? Yeah. So I don't think we need to go that deep. I think this type alias is enough for us. And then the transaction event is also a class over here, but yeah, I don't think we need to be that structured. I think we can just use the type alias. So let's work backwards from the last thing that we want to do. Print output will now take. So instead, so what I'm doing currently is basically I have a database that I'm inserting a bunch of records into, and it seems more like the approach that Pony wants me to take, especially when using promises, is just sort of like let the actors handle their own state, and then whenever they're done, just tell me that you're done. And then when you're all done, what the aggregate does is just take all of those values at the same time and just deals with them. So I think this word results is going to go away as a result of using promises, which is kind of cool. Unless there's handle transaction event, handle transaction event. So when they're creating the summary promise, so because this is a handler on a promise, it has to, it takes the entire collection result. And this tilde is not something I've seen before, but I'm assuming it's just like this dot whatever, or like a bind to this or something like that. So let's say our print output now takes an array of replications, right? Oh, it's partial application. Okay, that's kind of cool. So if it's partial application, then we're calling next on a promise. So we're taking the value of the promise and partially applying it to receive collection. But receive collection only takes a single argument. So does partial application. Right. So we're mapping over everything. We're hitting next on it and then doing receive collection. Receive collection. So accounts.values, map over them. Consume, so we consume, we create the promise. The promise all of those promises are joined uh, such that the root promise is now handling, like, gonna call on the end of them. So when all of those promises resolve, we call next, we get the array. The array is partially applied to receive collection. We don't actually have anything else, so I'm assuming it just calls itself at that point. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we don't actually need the string names or results or anything. So I'm assuming this word results is actually going to go away, like I said before. Print output array replications. I'm assuming this val, since val is read, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to explicitly say that I don't understand totally why it's there. But I haven't used promises ever before, so maybe it has something to do with the return values of promises callbacks being a specific kind of thing. So instead of word results here, this is going to be I think we only need to get rid of one of these ends, right? White space. Okay. If, then, and, for, and this whole thing goes back one. And then we'll call this R reps because that's what it was before. Reps.pairs doesn't actually work anymore, so I think we do need the wrapping loop. Yeah, let's keep that. Put this all back where it was. For our in word results. This isn't word results anymore. This is our values, and then we get reps there. So that should work. So now what we need to do is construct a promise chain such that print output is the callback. Okay, so promise chain construction. I'm assuming this write is no longer happening because we no longer need word results. So I think I'm just going to get rid of these for now. I don't think I need wait for either. So all of this is gone because this aggregate is not doing any processing anymore. DB can go back to being DB because this doesn't need to happen. Process input is where we need to start constructing our promise chain. So yeah, this is interesting. The account summary is an aggregate concept. So this account summary we are going to have be something different. It's just going to be like an int, I guess. No. In any case, let's do process input, We create a bunch of checksums. We process a bunch of checksums. The processes need to be promise returning. So process needs to, what is this? Take a promise? Handle transaction event. So it takes a promise, but it doesn't return anything because promises don't need to return. So behaviors don't return anything, but promises are the link between these two things that are keeping our values around. So we're saying that we're going to promise a, what are we promising from this? We're promising a rep from this. And then I guess P has to wrap everything, so maybe we do this. db.write doesn't make sense anymore. I'm not sure why we need recover there. I'm just going to trust the example for now, and then maybe I'll go back and play. So now we're taking a promise, we are doing our processing, we're returning effectively reps. Which means that when we do our process here, we need to pass in a promise. That promise is a rep promise. Okay. So now we have a bunch of promises being created and passed into this check process. This is the thing that we probably need to deal with. Our behavior isn't on that, which is interesting, so we're going to have to call out to the other actor. So let's say our promise of, see, so if we're promising an account summary, receive collection is receiving the array and returning an account summary. Actually, is it returning an account summary? For summary and call values do. It's just printing every summary, which is fine. I'm a little confused as to why the root promise is a promise for an account summary. I'm wondering if they just need to be the same for type system reasons. So I'm gonna assume that there's something there that I don't quite understand yet. Process input. I'm gonna make process input my version of the other thing. Oh, it's promises. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I want to look at the promise documentation because promises and promise, well, I can guess a little bit. Um, yeah, so promise is an actor, but promise is a array of values. Okay, so there's this primitive promises that creates when called with join creates a promise that is fulfilled when all promises of the sequence are fulfilled. So this is the promise dot all of like the JavaScript world. Um, but we're returning the order. So what's the type signature on this? So it takes a bunch of promises of type A and returns a promise of type A. So that's hmm. So they always have to be the same, which is interesting. Because I'm feeling like or I don't want my return value to be the same as everything else, but maybe I'm just thinking about it slightly the wrong way. So let's just say this is replications then. So a set of promises that are of replications dot join um, actually this can go inside process input because this will need that for loop. Or does it need that for loop? Act promise. What we're doing here is we're joining. So we're returning an array of promises that are account summaries. And in this case, I'm assuming I can say that this is an array of promises of type replications, and then promises dot push p or something like that. We'll deal with that print output later. I don't know if this will work, but I'm basically just going to take this and do the process input. So that'll give me the promises to join on, and then I want to have a next. I wonder if I can do this. Next, and next will be, so that's partial application, but what I really want is next none, so promises return none maybe? And then I'm assuming I need recover here. Where is our db dot print output, right? So I'm assuming this is a reference to the promises and not a reference to the actor. And I'm going to see if that compiles. Okay, array val print output. Yep, extra brac. Where's my let promises? There you go. There's your empty array literal, which I'm hoping is a thing. Argument now subtype parameter, perfect. Argument type is none val. All right, because I didn't return it. That will do it. And this returns promise, right? Replications. So we still have that problem. Array, promise, hash map. Ooh, it would be really nice if it used my type alias here. Promise, hash eq. That's my hash map. My promise is val. My array is tag. And there's a ref on the whole thing. Which is why I needed to consume the creation, I suppose. It wants an iterator. Oh, so it needs an iterator. Like you have to use the iter package. Or what you're saying is basically like I need a dot values or something like that. Oh, right. So like something like that maybe. Join takes an iterator. Yeah. So this is process input dot values because that is an array and I think that will work. And then can't read a field through the main tag, so I'm sure that I did something with the recover methods here. Promises, replications, what are we doing over here? We're doing join, we have a consume on the promise map. So I wonder if we still need that to get through the tag. No, that's not what it is. Okay, so we have these values. 24, this is where we can't read through. This is something that I don't quite understand yet, so of course this is going to be super hard to Google, isn't it? No, I don't want to get rid of that. I'm assuming that this is not the this that I thought it was. Can't read a field through a main tag. So tag is the ISO getting passed through to a behavior. So do I need to, I feel like I need to consume something that I haven't consumed. There is a consume on the, okay, so you're saying, oh, field access on the DB should be the partial application as opposed to the, because I'm doing it on something else. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Can't reference a method without calling it. Yeah, that's interesting. Right. So I sort of knew that because this is referencing main, and main tag is the type, which makes me think that I need to deal with a consume on something, which is why I thought I had the recover here. Um, but okay, P promise account summary aggregate summarize P that's in that's a promise. Um, not promise account summary. So this consumes every promise and then calls next and then partially applies the receive collection. So do you think I just need to call a behavior on my own actor to get this to kick off? That would be really weird. Or did I not specify? Yeah, so this is val. So that's read only, right? Um, this recover should see, but I don't need to do this. So it's a tag on 24. How do I turn a tag into a val? Let me look at the promises docs a little bit more. Yep, promise a tag. The interior of val with the tag. Next, none. We've got a lambda. You can't turn a tag back into anything readable. Okay, that's good to know. So how did I create this? How did I turn this into a tag? I tried to pass the field into the behavior. There's something about that in the capabilities chapter of the tutorial. Destructive read, no. Yeah, alias of an ISO is a tag, which isn't a subtype of ref, so you can't write. And the alias is because you have an ISO. Okay. So because we are accessing, when you have an ISO receiver, you normally can't call ref methods on it because the receiver is also an argument to a method. So this .db is taking main as an argument, but main has a handle to itself, so it has to turn into an alias, which is a tag. Right. So what I gather from this is that I have to eliminate the main from the argument list of print output. Which I thought was doing, like, that's what I thought the automatic recover was doing, but maybe I need to recover and manually specify what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, how is that different from creating it on the property though? Oh, because I don't actually need that, right? Can't reference a method without calling it. Yeah, I was also doing this dot, and I don't think I needed to do this dot because I already have DB specified, so I'd only need to reference DB, which got me through to the next thing, which is good, which I don't know if I need to recover anymore because I'm not actually passing like myself to the function that I'm calling. But this is tripping me up, like this thing that was supposed to be partial application. I can't reference a method without calling it. Yeah, so I already have it up here, so I have the reference, which is good. So now we're past that. Um, but the issue that I'm having now is I can't reference a method without calling it, and I think that the partial application is handling the call. Um, right, the partial application is handling the call, but I thought the tilde was the partial application. You still need to call it. Okay, maybe I missed something in the example that I was looking at. Oh. Yeah, sure. Yay. Yay, syntax. All right. Argument not a subtype of parameter. For car and input dot values. Where are we now? Car in. Okay, so now we're down here. Um, Input is something that we got from create. Argument type is hash map, I8 val, bool val, hashiq, I8 val, val, ISO. Okay. So we have an ISO handle to our hash map. '85. Yeah. Counts as our hash map. So P has caused a difference in environment, I guess, to get me an ISO. I wonder. Hmm. I wonder if I need to recover. Yeah, I mean, I want this thing, right? So, um, so you can't do that. I wonder if the whole thing it needs to be here. Need an expression inside P. A single expression? No, we don't need that. Okay, give me this. Okay, so I can do a lambda in here then. Right, because I'm not doing anything else async, so it doesn't matter. there's that, and then that would give me a single p reps, and then I can, I wonder, this is the appropriate way to turn that ISO into, or I need to consume it. Yeah. I need to consume this. I think that we get the ISO, and then I have to consume the ISO to get it to actually go through to the promise, and then I think this is the. So I think I could have used a lambda, but I still would have had to consume reps at the end anyway. I think, I don't know, but now we're getting through everything, which is great. Ignore my lambda statement. So that works. That's 4312. That's exactly what he wanted. Let me get rid of all of these debug statements. Okay, so first successful use of promises. I'm actually pretty happy with that. The major change that I made here was that DB is no longer really a database, right? It's no longer holding state. It's just aggregating a set of promises, which is interesting. Thank you. Which I actually really like the fact that I'm not actually setting state anymore. I'm just sort of aggregating promises and waiting on the values and then getting them. Let's see, puzzle input. Let's go for it. Let's do, oops, that was the wrong thing. I forget how to do, oh wait, we need to do regex and Sublime. I've like never used Sublime. I've started using Sublime because of Pony again, after years of using Sublime as like an ephemeral note-taking thing. I don't want all of the open things. I just want current file. There we go. We're regexing, so maybe this works, maybe this doesn't. I want to replace it all like that. Replace, please. Thank you. Yay. Yes, it is going to be a very long command line. I am unashamed in my horrible usage of a very long command line on this. I should figure out the file stuff. See, it's fine. It worked. Yeah, I need to learn how to read files and stuff. So maybe I'll update this example to read a file instead of taking the input like this. And that will be my experiment in file creation. Or not file creation, but. And there's that. Yeah! Done. So we got that. Dope. I think you might hit an OS limit. Well, I didn't yet hit an OS limit. I think there was only like a couple hundred arguments, so it was fine. But I definitely want to switch this to files, so I'll commit this. I'll work on part 2, and then I will probably also swap it to use files. think that. Maybe explore. All right. Cool. So if anybody cares to look at my code, it's up here. Um, so I'm using the debug to dump it out. I think that's okay for now. I don't really have anywhere else to put the result. I'm happy. I'm really happy with having used promises. Thank you for pointing a couple things out to me that were uh, things that I was having trouble finding, etc. Um, especially with the destructuring for the pairs and stuff like that. That was really useful. And the help on like learning how to start using recover and consume and things like that was super helpful. Um, yeah, I'm reasonably happy with this. Like this is I could think in this way. I could see myself thinking in this way if I needed to solve a problem in the language. So I'm really happy with that result. Um, where are we here? Okay. So let's see. Confident that your list of box ideas and blah blah blah. Thank you. I really appreciate the help tonight. Um, I actually might end the stream here and then try to go look at file stuff. Um, now that I've done probably 2.5 hours of this. But yeah, all right. Have a good night. And I'm gonna head out here too. Later.